You know, cancel the alt animation. Oh wow, they even put that into the game. That's insane. Every tiny detail is taken into account. I don't know how they made the auto attacks feel so similar to League, and the spacing and range feel very similar as well. Here's a question. If you had a League of Legends player and an average player of another esport, which one do you think will have the better mechanics? After years of coaching, it's been my observation that League of Legends players simply don't have the same focus and emphasis on mechanics that players from other esports do. It seems like we simply don't prioritize it as much as other games. I mean, take a look at Valorant. A player can get from silver to gold or even platinum by just fixing his crosshair positioning. In League, however, I've literally coached diamond players that simply didn't know how to click correctly. Now, I know what you're thinking. You can't simply aim at the head in League, right? What is this guy talking about? Mechanics simply don't matter that much compared to other games. Yeah, sort of, but I think it's much deeper than that. Look, League might not be a shooter, but tons of trades, plays, and even ganks get decided by your micro in my opinion. There's two parts of the issue, right? On the one hand, we have a culture in our player base where nobody really cares about mechanics, so you can actually claim without caring about them yourself, because the enemy will also be kinda handless anyway, right? But more importantly, the elephant in the room is, how the heck do we even train the mechanics? We don't have practice tool routine system like other games do, let alone freaking Aimlabs. Except maybe now we do. Due to my work, coaching more than 3,500 sessions, a lot of which I spent teaching mechanics and micro, as well as reaching Halo on ADC, I got contacted by the team from Skillgap, and they were like, listen, you have students, you teach mechanics, you do silly drills in practice tool, what if there was a better way? And I was like, is this BS? And I bet you're wondering that as well, so that's the point of this video today. We're gonna check what is this all about and see if it's legit or not. If this app is done well, this could be a huge game changer in the skill ceiling of League players. Now, full disclaimer, I did receive a free key to test this app, but all of my opinions are my own and I will give this a fair review and tell you legit if this is BS or not. They also gave me a referral link, which is nice if you wanna support my channel and if you wanna get the app and test it out for yourselves. So please take a look at the comments and the description of the video for that one. So without further ado, let's give this a look from the point of view of a professional coach. As you can see, it's a full app, doesn't require Steam or anything, which is a plus. Other people have tried to do this, like the Skillshot game. The thing about the Skillshot game is that I feel like it doesn't really translate well into League, because it's just so much different, right? And this is something they have put a lot of work into. They have made sure that their animations are like exactly the same as League, their camera angle, down to the milliseconds of all the inputs and animations. So let's take a look. We're gonna start with the dodge one, and I'm gonna pull up the level here. I will try to see how close to League it feels, because this is one that you simply can't train in the practice tool unless you have like 5 friends with you. So I like that you can lock or unlock the camera, it feels really similar. I like that I can press A to see the auto attack range like I would in a real game. The feeling is really similar to a real game. You can flash and it has a 15-second cooldown. And the skill shots seem, I don't think they seem different than the game, right? I feel like I'm turning off my brain and imagining that these skill shots are like the same as they would in the real game, and they don't feel that much differently. And it's still pretty hard, so I think this is good training. I'm getting hit by a lot of things. The main thing that I notice is how close it feels to the actual game. I don't feel like I feel like I'm actually playing the game. Just like a weird skin, so to speak. The animations and clicks feel really close to the game. Okay, let's try some kiting drills now. There's drills I made in practice tool to kite, but they are not the same. Like the practice tool dummies don't move, and you can only practice only so much, right? So let's try a 5. And in this one, you gotta move constantly while attacking to stay out of the enemy range. So that's something that you can't do in practice tool, because you cannot make the dummies chase you. And now, this is another thing that it's one of the key selling points for this game in my opinion. The bar that you see at the bottom. That's something you cannot get in League, and I wish it was in League. That bar is sort of similar to the firing error or the movement error that you can activate on Valorant. So what that bar is, a thing called deviation at the bottom. So some of you might not know this, but when you auto attack, you have what's called the wind up animation, right? And the way that wind up animation, what it does is after you click, the auto attack doesn't come out instantly. And as you know, if you click too fast after attacking, you will cancel the whole auto attack. Now there's something after that which is called the wind down animation. like after your auto attack comes out, you can click instantly to cancel the auto attack animation and thus be able to move faster. And this is the first time I have ever seen any kind of app, software or game that actually checks that and makes you train that. The deviation here, as close as it is to 0, is better. Because that means I'm cancelling the auto attack animation and the wind down animation better. So see, I got a 0 there, that means I perfectly cancel my auto attack animation after clicking. For me, that auto attack animation measurement is one of the biggest selling points. I can see like the average gold or silver ADC learning how to auto attack so much better thanks to that. So you might be wondering what happens if you turn that to like a 10. So let's check. I actually don't know. Kinda scary. So now we have 2.5 attack speed. Alright, that's just how it should feel in your mind, okay? So this one didn't feel as challenging. I think we could use a bit more targets. Or maybe I would recommend that they add a bit of a target selection thing where like you gotta select a couple targets and ignore the other ones, or maybe dodge at the same time. So let's try the aim and dodge one. I have all the abilities of Ezreal, and I can basically dodge what they're throwing at me, but at the same time I have to hit them. And I have to hit them before they disappear. So I wish you could change the level from the menu. Oh, you have cooldowns. Okay, that's interesting. You can't spam the Q, you have an actual cooldown. Let's bring it up to a 10. Only now I have realized I'm not thinking about the fact that this is not League. That means they did a really good job to make it feel like League, which was the scariest part for me. I think anyone that attempted to do this realized that unless you put a huge amount of work, there's no way to make it feel like League. You know, cancel the ult animation. Oh wow, they even put that into the game. That's insane. Every tiny detail is taken into account. The fact that you can R-flash is insane, look. I can R-flash. It feels like a tiny bit harder than dodging the Xerath Q in a real game, but that's maybe because this Xerath is kind of scripting, right? Nobody has ever made a job as good as they have here in making the game feel similar to League. Now, one thing I'm really curious of is the spacing. I cannot tell you how many of my sessions I have to work with my students a lot on teaching them spacing because they just don't do it well, and it's such a crucial skill to have. So the thing you're doing wrong is that most of your deaths, you're like... And then when they walk to you, walk back. And see how that tiny step that I did forward, that's enough.
That'll kill you in a late game team fight.
Yeah.
That'll kill you.
It's just something that is really hard to practice alone by yourself, because in practice tool, the dummy doesn't really move, so the only spacing you can practice by yourself is sort of like the spacing on a standing still thing, right? So I think this is one of my favorite drills and the one that I would do the most. So basically you have to auto attack the Nidalee, but she can randomly turn on you, so you have to properly do the spacing without getting hit back. And one thing I love about this drill is that it also will tell you whether you're canceling the auto attack animation well or not. See the right letting auto attack, but the feeling is so similar to actually spacing in the game, and I think this will train your spacing abilities so well. Keeping the mouse close to your champion, predicting and canceling the auto attack animation, and keeping the max range. Those are the two most crucial skills to have when you're spacing, and I feel like this is such a good job to train it. In fact, the only criticism I will have for this spacing drill is that I wish that you could use different champions, which maybe you can, and I don't know how. Okay, future Sachi here, guys. You can actually change the champion that you do the drill with. You have the ranged ones up here and some melee ones down here. I was actually trying them and they feel like the real game. I was trying Caitlyn, she increases the range, she has 650 range now. And the animations feel just like Caitlyn. I don't know how they accomplished making the animations feel this similar. But yeah, it feels like auto-attacking on Caitlyn, as you can see here. Of course, the sound is not the same, but the feeling of playing the champion is pretty much the same. The muscle memory transfers really well. And in my opinion, if the muscle memory transfers this way, then it will also transfer the other way, right? Meaning any muscle memory earned here, I will be able to take it into the game after. By the way, you see that pause? That pause that just happened is because I actually found a match in League and it was my turn to pick. So when it's your turn to pick, your game will automatically pause, as you can see here. So this is the most useful drill I have ever seen so far. This is something I will like 1,000,000% start recommending to all of my students in a certain elo and a certain role to start doing. I don't know how they made the auto attacks feel so similar to League, and the spacing and range feel very similar as well. Especially the auto attack animation, the auto attack wind up. I wonder if I'm getting penalized for taking long to auto attack him. Like if I do it faster, will I get better score? Now I'm on the red side, but my attack speed is 0.75, so this is more like spacing against a level 1 target. And that's interesting. See, my spacing is way lower. But because the difficulty level is lower, now I can actually have more range than them. So I would highly recommend this for like lower elo players. This would be a really good tool actually. Let's take a look at one more now, which is gonna be kiting plus dodge. So let's start with very low attack speed, very low difficulty. We have a Yasuo chasing us, which is gonna hit us melee, and then with more speed. And then we have a Nidalee throwing spears. That's what it seems. So we have to kill the Yasuo without getting hit. Cancel the auto attack there. And we get hit because we cancelled the auto attack. I wonder if I should use flash. Even in the level 1 difficulty, which is this one, I feel like this is actually quite challenging to do perfectly to 100%. So I would highly recommend this to my students. I really like how much emphasis they put on cancelling the auto attack animation properly. Let's increase the difficulty to a 9. So basically, if you don't properly cancel every auto attack animation, you're gonna get caught by this guy. And I got caught anyway. So that means I wasn't cancelling the auto attack animation very well. So I guess we kinda cheated on this one because we had a lot of time lost between auto attacks to get more distance between us and the enemy. That's something you will see a lot in real gameplay because you don't trust yourself to properly cancel each auto attack animation perfectly or a bit less damage just to take less damage at the same time, right? Because if we're constantly kiting, because we're not perfect at kiting, we're gonna receive more damage as the guy gets to us and auto attacks. Now, this is me being imperfect, because if I was perfect at kiting, probably he wouldn't be able to reach me, even through the auto-attacking. So what this means is that I need to train more. I'm finding myself just playing kind of for fun, but also I think it's a really good training. I think the appeal is like really good training and learning for people below Master GM, and really good warm-up for people higher than that. So now there's the Lasthit one, and apparently we can't stop moving at the same time. So if we stop moving, we're gonna lose points. Oh, I have really low attack speed. I don't have abilities, which is nice. And you might say, well, this is the one that you could practice in the real game probably. So this is the one that maybe I would recommend practicing in the real game. I don't see a lot of value in the app. I think this one will be more useful once we have more different amount of champions and the game graphics get a little bit more closer to a real game. This one will be better. So far, this is the only one that I recommend doing in the actual game in practice tool instead of here. So now let's go to the microgames and warmups. So what this section is basically even more bare bones. So all of the things you saw earlier are incorporated into a game with a high amount of what's called specificity. They are very similar to the game itself. There's ways to train things, such as key coordination, really being specific. So this is similar to how a football player will practice running in a treadmill, which is like just a fundamental core aspect of the game, which is like very specific to football.
Very football specific, doing short bursts followed by short rest periods as well.
So this is the same. Whatever it says on the screen we gotta do, so we gotta press the buttons there. I have quite a bit of boomer students, above 30, or that work and League is their first game. Their partner made them install League, but it's their first competitive game and they're used to playing Nintendo Switch only. The aim plus map one is really insanely difficult. So basically with F and D I can move this to left or right in the bottom right. I just have to avoid the red circle that will fall down. And then I have to click whatever it says here with the proper input. You gotta pay attention to the down right on the screen, at the same time as multitasking here. Even level 7 feels like insanely difficult here, and this is so far the drill that I have had the most trouble with. And there's a ton more drills that you can do. As you can see, this is way less specific than the game itself, but it's good to learn the basic APM and warm-up. So maybe you want to start with this and then make your way up to higher. So what are my thoughts? My first honest conclusion is this is a game changer and is huge for lower elo players like below master or so, especially around gold, platinum, silver, bronze, iron. Those players lose so many games just because of mechanical misplays. I've seen it happen in tons of my sessions, literally thousands. In other games, pro players spend hours labbing, which means doing practice drills, practicing combos, or just training their aim. In League, the only practice pro players do is literally just screaming and watching the VOD reviews. Now, League might not be the most mechanical game out there, but League is not chess. This is an area that we are lacking, and especially lower elo players, they always wonder, how can I play like a high elo player? Well, people tell them just play more. But now we have a tool to improve those things and actually make it so that a silver player can potentially get diamond master mechanics if they practice enough. If I was you watching this video, I would try the tool. I would see what you think. Make sure you import your settings from the game to the tool so that everything feels the exact same. I think the quality of life, graphics and interface needs some love for the app to thrive more. We need to make sure that it looks visually appealing on the menus. I feel like there's a lot of things such as the auto attack bar in the bottom that I understand because I teach these things, but my last advice for the developers is to make it so that it's more noob friendly, so somebody that doesn't know about all of these auto attack concepts and spacing concepts understands why it's so important and why it affects their games. For example, they could have some clips like the famous Deft versus Viper clip and explain how that is a pinnacle of spacing. Last couple things. The app has a freemium model. You can download it for free and you don't even need to have Steam or anything. But some of the drills are premium only with a subscription per month, which you can see in the website. I think it's around €5. If you're interested in trying it out, please download it with a link I will show you in the description and the comments. Also consider getting a coaching session so you can learn all of these things and much more. I have one of the best success rates in the whole West for any coach and I have done thousands of sessions, so I'm sure you will not be disappointed. See you in the next video and thank you!